You're imperfect and you're wired for struggle, but you are worthy of love and belonging. That's our job.
Yes, you are. It's been 10 years since best-selling author and researcher Brené Brown gave that TED Talk, which has now been viewed almost 50 million times. You go, Brené Brown. It's also celebrating the 10th anniversary of her best-selling book. It's called The Gifts of Imperfection. Let go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you are. Don't we know people like that? To commemorate it, she's releasing a special edition, you could say, with a new preface on how people can live a wholehearted life. That's what she calls it during these challenging times. Brené Brown joins us this morning. Brené Brown, good to see you. I love the phrase.
Nice to see you, too.
I'm so glad you're here. I love the phrase wholehearted life because I'm wondering about, I read it over the weekend. I have to say, Brené, the words really stand up. They still hold today. What have you learned in the last 10 years? Because I thought it was interesting that you said we all have a journey of head work and heart work. And you did the head work, but you didn't feel you had done the heart work. So what did you learn? What have you learned?
I think the biggest two learnings for me over the past decade have been, one, taking the work in this book and putting it into practice is way more difficult than I thought. And two, it is actually way more worth it than I thought. So it is, you know, it's tough to wake up every morning, especially in this world, and make a commitment to not betray yourself for other people, not to disappoint them, not to make them angry, to take a stand that's different. That's a hard daily practice. And if it's not a daily practice, it really doesn't mean anything.
You said that wholehearted living is not just one thing, that it really is a process. What do you mean by that? Wholehearted living, you have courage, compassion, and connection. You said it's a process, not just one thing, one time.
I think, you know, this was the first time that my data led me to a catastrophe in my own life. And so
right.
I thought if you knew how these things worked, it would be enough. But what we know is not enough. It's who we are and how we show up. So it's great that you know these things. Are you practicing them every day, especially when you feel backed into an emotional corner or you feel less than? These are not to-do list items, which I am very fond of checking off in my life. These are practices, and sometimes we're great and sometimes we just blow it. And you have to get back up and do it again.
Last time you were here, the pandemic was starting, and I wrote down what you said because we're all learning how to settle into a new normal while grieving the loss of normal. Now you say we're all getting through this, and you hope that we don't go back to normal. What do you mean?
I think the combination, you know, everyone said in the beginning, you know, the pandemic, the virus doesn't discriminate. And I thought, yeah, the virus doesn't discriminate, but Americans discriminate. And so what we have seen over the past 6 months is the overrepresentation in sick people and dying people in communities around race and around poverty. And I think the combination of the pandemic with a long overdue and ongoing racial reckoning, I don't want to go back to the way it was. So I think, and I think most people don't. We want something better, and we deserve something better. And any kind of pandemic or crisis really highlights the fault lines in a country, in a family, in a community. And we need to build for what's next, not build back for where we were, because where we were served a few of us at the expense of others.
Yeah, I've heard you say, I'm not here to be right, I'm here to get it right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my personal motto, especially when I'm having difficult conversations around race, gender, orientation, work. You know, even our hard wiring says, hey, listen, when you're pushed to the edge and you feel accused or you feel put down, fight back. And so the thing I try to tell myself as a hack is, look, I'm not here to be right, to prove that I'm right. I'm here to get it right. Be quiet, let others lead, learn. And unlearn.
There's so many beautiful things about you, Brené, but part of it is that you are so open and so sharing about your life. You write in the book about seeing a therapist. I thought, Brené Brown goes to a therapist. People go to you for therapy. But you say that you learn more than you teach.
Yeah, no one comes to me for therapy for sure. I am not a therapist. I trained with a bunch of people who went that route, and I went the research route. Yes, I've had a therapist. I mean, I think there are just two camps of people who are struggling and don't get help, and people who are struggling and do get help. I want to be in the struggling and get help camp. We're not supposed to do this alone. We were never meant to do this alone. We're not wired that way. We're supposed to lean into each other.
And congratulations is in order because this time you get to do the audible of this book. You get to do the audio of the book rather, because last time you didn't get to do the audio because they thought, we need to get a real reader, right?
Yeah.
I think that's so funny.
And so that was exciting because I never read it, but I never read it out loud. And I remember reading it. And one of the things that our community said to us is, give us a hardback, read the audiobook, do not change the stories, just update the front or something. And so telling these stories, especially the parenting struggles and the struggles in my marriage, it's so funny because the kids are 10 years older, but the struggles are better, but they're still there. I mean, perfectionism dies hard.
Yep. Well, yeah, it really does. Thank you for being a great researcher and a really great storyteller, and thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. We learn a lot from you, Brené Brown.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot. The 10th anniversary edition of the Gifts of Imperfection is available today wherever you like to buy your books.